it was staged? Do you think the blood coming out of his head was staged? You saw his head hit the pavement. You see blood on the pavement. The protester in Buffalo, who was hurt by the Buffalo police, was on a video that went viral. Mr. Gugino, 75-year-old gentleman who was out protesting and is knocked to the ground by police. He's in the hospital in Buffalo. He was in intensive care. He's no longer in intensive care, but he's still hospitalized. I spoke to him the day he was brought into the hospital. The president tweets that this man may have been a member of Antifa and that he fell harder than he was pushed. Could be a setup. It's all made up. It's all fabricated. There's no fact to any of it. He accuses this man of being associated with Antifa. No proof whatsoever. No fact, just an assertion. He fell harder than he was pushed. In the video, you see him pushed, and you see a 75-year-old man fall backwards and hit his head on the pavement. What does that even mean? Fell harder than he was pushed. What do you think it was? It was staged? Do you think the blood coming out of his head was staged? Is that what you're saying? You saw his head hit the pavement. You see blood on the pavement. Maybe he fell harder than he was pushed. How reckless, how irresponsible, how mean, how crude. I mean, if there was ever a reprehensible, dumb comment, and from the President of the United States, at this moment of anguish and anger, what does he do? Pours gasoline on the fire.
It was horrendous and horrific. The president targeted a 75-year-old man, justice-loving man who wanted to stand up for his neighbors and wanted to stand up for his fellow Black Americans and making sure that everyone is treated equally in the eyes of the law. And to target him when everyone saw on video exactly what happened is just such a reprehensible act. And it just goes to show how far we have to go in the fight for justice in this country.
My friend Martin was the victim of police brutality, and then he was the victim of presidential brutality. And that's the reason why I had to respond. Martin Gugino is a 75-year-old cancer patient who loves people, who spends a lot of his time volunteering at homeless shelters, serving people in poverty, speaking out, using his voice to speak out against injustice against the Black community.
Did you have a reaction to the president's tweet earlier?
I learned a long time ago not to comment on tweets, and I'm not going to break that.
But they are official statements.
Does the president regret tweeting out a baseless conspiracy theory about a 75-year-old protester on the morning of George Floyd's funeral?
The president was asking questions about an interaction in a video clip he saw, and the president has the right to ask those questions.
Does he regret tweeting out this protester was assaulted?
The president does not regret standing up for law enforcement, men and women across this country.
Baseless conspiracy theory.
It's not a baseless conspiracy. No, not at all. I won't acknowledge that.
One of the things that the president said in his tweet was that the gentleman fell harder than he was pushed. How does that work in terms of physics?
The president raised several questions based on a report he saw. He has a right to ask those questions.
What about the president's tweet, though? Was that appropriate, sir?
As I said, we are discussing in the Senate Republican Conference what response we think is appropriate to the events of the last 2 weeks.
I saw the tweet. It was a shocking thing to say, and I won't dignify it with any further comment.
Do you think Republicans should denounce this, Republican leaders?
Do you think that that tweet was appropriate?
Well, I think that what we need to focus on certainly is facts. And I don't know the facts behind that situation, but certainly what we should be doing today is focusing on unification and honoring George Floyd.